I didn't invite you into my space. Out of my space. Out of my space. This horse came in yesterday evening, kind of late. This is the first time that I've put my hands on him. The first time that he's been in his stall. He needs to get out. He needs to move around. But in the process, I also want to get an idea of what I have to work with right here. A little bit of his backstory. He belongs to a woman that has put a fair amount of riding on him. She's a little bit older than me, so I am sure that he was broke nice at some point. She said he's been out in the pasture for a little bit of time, I think about a year, not really a lot done with him, and she wants him restarted and wants me to put the first rides on him, make sure his steering's good, stop good, all those basics. Do basically a little bit of a restart with him. He is running bred on the top and cow horse on the bottom. Give you a little bit of idea about his breeding. That particular cross creates some interesting aspects to watching their personality. With the running bred, he's going to have a lot of forward, a lot of go, a lot of stamina. And with the cow bred, he's going to be pretty alert and pretty looky, typically. That's kind of the typical traits for those two breeds. Just getting him out of the stall, I walked him in here. This is the first time he's been out of the stall, first time I put my hands on him since he came in last night. And the looky definitely is showing. He doesn't seem too forward like the running side. Let's see if we can change direction and go the other way. Come on. Really just want him to move his feet. I don't want to send him off fast. I would like him to just move his feet, walk a few circles. I want to establish that I'm in charge, that I'm the leader, but I don't want to get his adrenaline, get him up too high too quick because of the thoroughbred side. Thoroughbreds and Arabians, primarily, that's two of the breeds that I've worked that tend to, when they get hot, they kind of tune you out a little bit. So I want to do my best to not let that happen with him. It might not even be an issue with him, but being with his breeding, I want to try to be conscientious of that and not let that happen. I always like to know a little bit about how the horse is bred. In a lot of cases, I can look at the horse and have a pretty good idea of his breeding, and that'll tell me a little bit about the horse's temperament and give me a start with how to work that particular horse. I have a general program that everybody goes through, but there's some little subtle things that I'll work a little bit different depending on the horse. Him being a more running bred horse, I'm going to try to work him a little bit slower. Some other bloodlines, I would want to work a little bit faster. So right now, I really like what I'm getting here. He's moving around, he's using his brain, he's looking around. Inside ears coming on me. This is the first time he's been out here, so I don't blame him for wanting to look around and take it all in. I'm not going to fault him for that. He just needs to listen to me in the process. And so far, he's doing pretty good. There's horses all over out here. There's horse in every direction. So he has something to look at everywhere he looks. There's some woods back there. Cows are back there. I don't know if he's ever seen cows or not, but that's always something that I'm aware of when horses come in, because many horses have never seen a cow before. What I am going to start doing, he has had a chance to look around. He's gone in enough circles in both directions. He knows what's out there. He's aware. I want to start working a little bit more on his focus, getting him to maintain a focus on me and not ignore me quite as much as what he's doing. What he's doing isn't bad, but I think it can be better. Change directions, get two eyes. I didn't invite you into my space. Out of my space. Out of my space. Two eyes, and I send him and he walked to me. I don't want that. You're not allowed to come into my space until I invite you into my space. Go forward. I will eventually invite him into my space, but he needs to develop that he does what I asked first. He is not going to come into my space until we have established the relationship that I am in charge. I'm in charge. I'll invite you into my space when I say, not when you say. How I'm going to do that is exactly what I just said a minute ago. When I lose his attention, I'm going to send him forward. I'm going to ask him to do something. Both ears locked forward, I'm going to send him forward. And I'm not going to do it immediately. They need to stay locked forward a second or two, because I'm okay with him being aware. They just need to come back on me. We're going to the left. I expect this left ear to flick over to me pretty regular. This is one of the kind of downsides to doing these videos, because I'm talking to you on the camera. I'm not talking to him. And after a while, he'll figure out that I'm not talking to him, and he'll start to ignore what I'm saying. Two eyes, send. Nope, not in my space, forward. So by doing these videos and me talking to you, it kind of trains him to not listen to me a little bit. So I have to be really conscientious of that. And when I have something that I want to say to him, like turn this way, go, I need to be real plain about that so that he doesn't tune me out. It's kind of like, I'm old enough to remember AM radio stations. Some of you probably have, and some of you probably have never listened to one. You listen to an AM radio station that's all staticky, and after a while, a lot of times you just start tuning it out because of the static. You don't really pay it any attention. It's similar with this, with the horse, when I'm talking to you. Nope, you're not coming into my space. Two eyes. There we go. Two eyes. So right there, you notice I was a little bit harder on him when he started coming into my space, because that's not what I want. I want him to go the other direction. When he went, then I get soft. I'm going to ask, tell, demand. Everything I do has an ask, tell, demand. Right here, even though it doesn't look like much, I'm asking him to go forward. I might smooch if he wants to slow down. And that'd be a tell. I might use the whip, and that'd be a demand. When he started stepping to me, that puts me in a dangerous position. A lot of people get hurt lunging horses. Kick, paw, strike, whatever. I don't want to let myself get into that position. When I say turn and go, I want you to turn and go. He gets to where he's being too insistent to come into my space. I'm going to use as much pressure as necessary to let him know that's not acceptable. I've said this before. There's 3 rules in horse training. First rule is I don't get hurt. He's starting to come into my space without me asking him. That is setting myself up to break rule number 1. Rule number 2 is the horse don't get hurt. Do the best I can to not ask him to do something that's going to get him hurt. Second rule is one of us has to learn something. Third rule is one of us has to learn something. So it might be that he learns to lunge better. It might be that he learns to not come into my space. It might be that I learn that he wants to come into my space. It might be that I learn how he thinks, how he works. Most of the time, we're both going to learn something. But one of us has to learn something. Most of the time, we'll both learn something. We'll learn something about each other. So far, I like this horse's demeanor. I like his attitude. He's moving forward. He'll do what I ask him to do. I have to push a little bit. I'm okay with that. I'd rather a horse that I have to push a little bit than a horse I have to hold back a little bit. probably part of what makes him a suitable horse for his rider. And his rider said she really likes him. She's got a lot of time on him. It's just over life situations lately, she hadn't been able to ride him for a little while, and has the good sense to not be the first one to get on him and make sure that he remembers what he's supposed to do. So that turn I just asked for was not as good as I would like it to be, but he's understanding he's not allowed to come into my space. Let's go ahead and get him saddled up, see how he takes the saddle. I drop the whip, stop sending, I'm gonna swap hands. I'll meet him at the wall. I'm not sending you. There we go. I'd like him to turn to me and then just stop and stand. He'll probably walk to my space, which I really don't want. There we go. Now I'm not going to go to him because I really don't want to encourage that connection between the two of us. I don't want to encourage him to come into my space. I just kind of scolded him for it a minute ago when we were turning. I don't want to undo what I taught him by me entering his space now. If the owner wants him coming into her space, that is real easy to get back. But right now, while I'm restarting him, we don't want that. That could turn really bad really quick. Everything has to be on our terms. I'm gonna put this snaffle bit on him, put it on over the bridle just like I do all you green horses. I don't know what he was ridden in before. I suspect he was ridden in a shank bit. I don't know. He's got a bigger head than I thought he did. Let it out a little bit. I suspect he was ridden in a shank bit. I don't know. But we're gonna put this on him to make sure he remembers what he's supposed to remember. People try to make a lot out of the chewing when I first put a bit on a horse. People try to make way more into that than what it is. Sometimes it means something, sometimes it don't. It don't always mean something. He was in a stall all night, so he's got a little dust on him, but he's not dirty. I run my hand over him when I first brought him out here, and then run my hand over him again. You want to make sure there's no sores or sore spots, sore muscles. And I'm confident that I run my hand over him enough that I was satisfied by it. Don't care that he put his head on me, his nose on me as I was setting the saddle up there. I watched him. He didn't seem like he had any ill intent. But you remember from the Palomino I worked the other day, they don't always pin their ears before they bite. So wear that and keep an eye on it. Saddle's not fitting him real great. Being the first time that I worked him, part of all that, I need to get us a working relationship started. I need to see what saddle fits him. I need to see how he works. So that's all part of what I expect this first time working him. Let me get the saddle, don't turn your head around. Let me get the saddle tight enough that it's not going to fall off. Doesn't have to be tight enough for me to get on. After he moves, I suspect the saddle's going to fit him better. This saddle normally fits horses that are generally built like him. I'm assuming he hasn't been saddled in a little bit of time. We're going to see. We're going to see how he behaves. And walk him back over here. And I'm going to ask him to move his feet. This is one of those situations why it is so important that you don't let the horse come into your space unless you invite him. This horse, if he was to buck and panic because of the saddle, because if I would have let him come into my space over there, very likely that he would come bucking into my space here to help him with that saddle that he would be afraid of. I don't expect him to be afraid of the saddle, but on the other hand, I need to make sure I keep me and him safe. That is why it is so important with these younger horses that I don't let them come into my space without being invited. When a horse panics about something, many times if you've spent a lot of time with that horse is going to come to you for help. That's really what you want, that horse to look to you for help. Well, if he's bucking, scared of that saddle, you don't want him running up to you bucking to help him with that saddle. A lot of the comments that I get in my videos from people, it's so obvious that they have never worked a green horse. And certain things need to be tailored for these horses I get in to keep me and the horse safe. Certain little things like that coming into my space, that's a really big deal for keeping me and the horse safe. It's not necessarily a big deal with a finished horse. And when I'm so insistent that a horse does not come into my space, they think I'm mean and abusive, but it's actually really for both of our safety, because a lot of people don't realize what can happen. He's actually trotting around pretty nice. Doesn't seem worried about the saddle at all. Doesn't seem concerned about anything. I like what I'm seeing. Horses typically don't forget. I'm sure he remembers being ridden in the past, but sometimes certain sensations, if he hasn't felt that saddle in a year, and some horses longer, that sensation can worry him. So let's get the bumpers over there. Put a little bit more pressure on him. You gonna stop? See how he kind of has me blocked out right there? He's paying attention to something besides me. That's important to take note of. Let's meet him over here at the wall. Get his attention back on me. There we go. Don't come into my space. Good boy. So these bumpers, this is just regular boat bumpers. I like to clip them to the saddle for horses that are reactive or green. It kind of helps them to get the idea of some legs flopping on them, or the bumpers flopping around. Kind of gets them used to a little bit of the sensation it's going to be like when a rider's on their back. So let's see if we can send him forward now. Not to me. Like I said, it's really important he don't come to me. Just like when I put the saddle on, if he was to run off bucking because he's afraid of the bumpers, I don't want him coming into my space. He can go around in a circle on this line, get it worked out, not into my space. A lot of people get hurt lunging and doing other things on the ground with their horse. Big part of that is because they let that horse come into their space without asking. Now I'd like to get a little bit of trot again. Get them bumpers to bounce and see what happens. Really, his ears is flicking around pretty much like they did before. Doesn't seem particularly worried. A lot of times when they start bouncing around, they'll kind of bend their body like getting off of the pressure or pushing into the pressure. He don't seem to be doing any of that. Let's change directions. Get a trot, there we go. So I'll be doing more videos on this horse. He just came in. He's here to be restarted. His name is Gizmo. I'll put a link up here to the other videos that I do with him. Until next time, thank you for watching.